Wu-Sabat, yeah, it's T again. I was gonna
18.
ask you, yeah,
Yeah.
you know the Pataites,
Yes.
their ancestors are the Nagaru, yeah,
Yes.
and they reside in is it Orion,
Tour.
Orion system, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned Planet Risk that the master teacher's from, and he's
Yes.
from Planet Risk, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Planet Risk is also in Orion system.
Tour. Yes.
Right now, they had some issue with the exterior of the planet.
Yeah, go on. Yep.
I was gonna ask you if does the planet still exist basically, and have it got life on it still?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so our ancestors still live on there.
Okay, our ancestors, the Panatharu, they're everywhere, but that's their original home. So much
Okay.
like on the planet right now, we would say the original people came from Africa, but today
Mhm.
we're all over the world. But
Okay.
but you know but the original where you started from would be Africa or Ghana. It's the same.
Understand.
So yeah, that's where the original home would be. Not just Orion, but the constellation, the galaxy known as Ilion.
Okay.
Yeah,
So when the okay, the master teacher he's from Planet Risk.
yeah,
So
which is an
does
Ilion. So 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 the
okay.
way it works, you have a planet, and the planet is in a solar system, and that solar system is in a galaxy, and the
Indeed.
galaxies in the universe. So you have many different galaxies in,
Yep.
yeah, and there are other universes with other
Planets and everything in
yeah,
there. Yeah, yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
different star systems.
So would he just travel to like Planet Risk, or would he just go all over the solar system?
Who?
The master teacher. So
It,
obviously, if he left like Earth, would he just go to Planet Risk and stay there, or would he
well,
still be venturing out and going to
I
places?
mean, I mean, they travel all over the place anywhere, but home is home, isn't it? Like, you know, like if you're from
Indeed.
Jamaica or from Africa, you travel to America, travel to Spain, travel to Portugal, travel everywhere, but then
Yeah, but you're going to travel back
you're
again.
gonna go home. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then.
All right.
And the planet Nibiru as well. You say that that's controlled at the moment by the Anunnaki.
No, remember we say that the term Anunnaki is referring to the incident when they came to this planet, where Anu sent those beings to the planet in ships that contain 50 passengers or in groups of 50. But there are different
Okay.
types of beings that reside on Nibiru. It's
Okay.
like, do you know, if you ever watch Star Trek, you have different beings that are on the craft. Klingons,
Yeah.
you know,
Vulcan.
Yeah.
Vulcans, and yeah, it's like that.
Wow. And are they agreeable or disagreeable?
Both. You have agreeable and disagreeable. Like
Understand.
we on the planet are the same. We have agreeable and disagreeable.
Okay. Okay.
And but
So obviously
sometimes
then. Yeah. Go.
black people. Sometimes people misinterpret agreeable and disagreeable as good and bad. But it's not good
Indeed.
and
Yeah.
bad. It's just some people agree and some people disagree,
Yeah.
depending on
Understand.
the situation. And
Indeed.
so when you say good or bad, then somebody has to say what's good and what's bad.
Indeed.
And then if it's bad to me, I will say that's bad. But the person that is doing it, to them might be
Might be
good.
good, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
so
get that.
we like to explain things in Wu-Sabat that it's being disagreeable is not always a bad thing, because it
Depending on
depends
what
on
it
what
is.
you're disagreeing on.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. And also,
I can tell you're studying,
imagine that
that's
we.
good.
Yeah. Cool. Imagine that we pass away from here. Yeah. Where do we actually end up?
It
So where do
depends
we
on
go to?
your what where you've elevated to and what you've learned and how you've grown on your vibration and your frequency and what you've done here before you pass on.
So elevating, how can we elevate? Is it just basically taking part in Wu-Sabat and then you basically guide us through
That's the
different
best way,
levels?
but you're elevating all the time by your thoughts, by the physical things you're doing, your health, and your spiritual stuff as well. So there's different ways and paths of elevating your mental, how you think. All of these raise your vibration. You see, so
like, imagine like the master teacher. How did he get to accumulate all this knowledge? Obviously, you say that he's lived or he's been around for a long time.
Many incarnations, yes.
Yeah.
Because you may have done too. Like most people don't realize, on average, they've been here more than 9,000 times, or about 9,000 times.
But how come he remembers and knows and we don't?
He was prepared specifically to come and do this job in this new 24,000 year cycle. And these three beings that came to him at birth and have been like guiding him through, this is Kriel, Alamo and Sa'at. Yeah, he's got his barothry gland, so he's using all his brain power, and he's got a pen that's guided, so the information comes through him.
His barothry gland. Sorry, because you mentioned that was another question. Is it only him on the planet who's got his barothry gland, or is it beings that have it too?
From what there's kind of been two, both sides where I've heard some people that have got it, but he's the only one that we know for sure that has got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I think what was the other? I think I had one more question, and it was just to do with, like, you mentioned that when we pass over, it depends on what you've done here and so forth, and if you've reincarnated before and stuff like that. And how can we, like, it's kind of hard to say the question.
How would you not come back and stuff?
Prepare for the afterlife.
It's like, I know that we say, like, we kind of have this cycle that we kind of keep going through and stuff, and we kind of reincarnate and stuff like that, but I think that you mentioned before, I think Asaru was on the show as well, and you mentioned that you had a brother, like a brethren, someone who joined it, and he just went straight up.
Oh, right. I was talking about Abiyaya, who was the master's...
I know this man.
Yeah, this book here, this is... I'm glad you asked that question. This is such an excellent book. For you as well, I recommend this book, T. It's called I Know This Man. And this is somebody that walked the journey with the master teacher from very, very early on. And he stayed with him throughout until he crossed over. And yeah, this book is such a special book because you see the master teacher's ashuk, which we call divine love, unconditional love, and how the two of them, you know, how close and how tight they were, and how, you know, him walking with the master, how he helped him to develop that being to that point where, as you say, when he crossed over, he just went straight up and never had to return or come back.
When you say, okay, perfect. When you say straight up to where?
Okay, so I say up because most of us have been programmed to think about up being like heaven or where you go to once you leave here. But I'm saying up in the sense that you got different realms and you have like 9 levels, and those 9 are even like to the 9 power of 9. So I'm talking about going back to what we call Pa'ut, which is the all expanding. So once you, and then to touch on what you said before, the master teacher says that once you do stuff that helps humanity, yeah, you don't have to come back. So that's why one of the best things you can do is help humanity with Wu-Sabat, you know, because you leave a legacy. This is why it's not just about acting, it's like real divine love, real ashuk, and you're doing things to really touch and help people in this world so that, you know, that will go towards you not having to come back. You see, so the best thing to do is live Wu-Sabat and share and learn, you know, how to put it into practice. But you've asked some great questions, I think. So yeah, that's what you do. Help humanity, not just be trapped in people, places and things. Like people get caught up on races, racism, people, places, and
I
things.
understand that,
Yeah, divisions and all that.
I want to really develop, man. I do it every day myself. Like, obviously, you know, you look at yourself, you try to analyze
Grab the
your own
breath
self and
from
see
the
where you can pick yourself up in different areas, and you know, you want to modify yourself, do better.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, even I think I heard something about the chakras.
Yeah.
You got obviously many chakras. They say seven, and I think that you mentioned that there's 9 in certain beings. How do you elevate those chakras? I know that you have some scrolls about
Maybe
them,
I didn't
but
take it out.
have access to all of them yet. I'm still reading through a few. So I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, there's, like we keep saying, it's more activating them, right? And they get activated based on, okay, so for example, yeah, the lowest one, which deals with lust, carnal desires, anger.
Chakra you mentioned
Yes,
before.
I'm just using that lowest one. That's what most people feed when they haven't learned to overcome certain things. And so the more you have control over that type of energy and behavior, then that one is not the most important one that you're feeding all the time. And that energy is not necessarily bad, but it's just got to be raised up. So if you were feeding the sex force most of the time, then you're going to be depleting that energy, especially like if you don't understand how powerful that is. So it's a matter of discipline. It's a matter of, like we say, certain practices like meditation, relaxation, showing kindness, unconditional love, and these seats will then be activated. So you have them anyway, and if you imagine them as being lights, you know, the light may be dim. And if you imagine, like, you know, when you can have, let's say, a pedal, like you're pedaling and generating energy to light a light bulb, let's say. So the more you pedal, the brighter the light gets. So the more you develop these seats, the more they radiate outwards and in your nature and in your actions. So
See, I think that I'm looking at it more as a physical thing.
that's right. They're both. They're both. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like your physical, has counterparts that are spiritual. So let's say your hand. Okay, you're not just physical, are you? Because your physical body is animated and kept alive by your spirit and your soul and your ether.
I don't really have much knowledge on these areas. This is what I'm trying to learn.
Right, that's what Wu-Sabat is going to teach you. So there's a scroll called the physical ethers, for example, that you need to study and read about the different parts of your etheric being. Because the etheric being is what's the real essence that feeds your real self, that powers your soul, which is that light I'm trying to explain, which is referred to as the solar plexus.
I know that you say Wu-Sabat ask us anything, but sorry to ask you these questions if you understand.
You can't be sorry to ask us questions when we're saying ask us anything. But, I mean, no one else is ringing in at the moment, so it's all right. I'm just saying, when other people are ringing, and if you're holding up the line, then it's different, but you're asking good questions. And a lot of people are going to learn from your questions, so it's good.
I know that too. I just want to add this part. It's because, like, there's not really many people to ask these kind of questions to, if you get it. So, now that I'm asking, like, it's like, I'm happy to ask these questions, but I don't know if you're happy to receive them.
Of course. Absolutely.
So, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you anyway for that.
All right.
It's just that I want to know.
Now we've got somebody else calling, so you have to round off now.
So I'm going to cut it short.
Okay.
I just wanted to learn like how to like develop in all the aspects that I need to know about, basically, so that I'm a better version of what I know. So
Okay.
basically,
if I tell you what to do, are you going to do it?
I'm going to do 100%, bro.
Okay, here goes. Read all the Pataraks that we have available right now.
All the Pataraks?
Yeah.
Okay, then. I'm going to start ordering them from next week.
Okay. And you will have more questions, but you will be getting your answers as well.
All right then, cool.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
All right then, I'll see you later.
Okay. What do?
Wadu.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Yeah. Oh, I didn't tell him. He was the one I wanted to tell about the
With the
breath.
breath.
Let me tell him anyway. Yeah, T, if you're still listening, I know you asked me about this book, The Breath. Yeah. Rahubat.
That's him.
No, that's someone else.
Oh.
Greetings. How you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from? What's your question, please?
I'm good, thank you. My name is Sean. I'm calling from London, Northwest.
Rahubat.
Right, I just want to say thank you for everything that you guys are doing, bringing all this information in.
And Takatiraf was, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Just going off of the whole language thing from earlier, and he was saying that in order to kind of repel these frequencies through language that are always being emitted to us, that learning Nuwapic or Misbatu is going to be able to protect us.
Yes.
How would that be so if for example, most of us, we speak English? It's not as if we're going to be able to unlearn English. So how specifically is learning the original language going to help kind of repel these frequencies when we still understand these frequencies?
I hear you. It's work in progress. What it is you have to think about yourself as a computer, and you can reprogram a computer. So what you're doing is you're reprogramming yourself because you're changing. Okay, so I don't know, just now somebody, I think it was yourself, and I responded to you in Miss Batia, but I don't think you understood what I said, right?
Yeah, but I felt what you said.
Exactly, that's the point. I was actually, you felt it. That's the vibration and the frequency. It's the tones, and that's what we're saying. Like when you're looking at English, it's got a dead tone. It's flat.
Yeah.
And that's what affects you. That's why when you speak to somebody, a lot of times, it's like, it doesn't make sense. Like I said to someone today, I was trying to get a hot drink, yeah, and I said, because I was like, do you have any herbal teas? She said, no. And I said, like, okay, I don't really want to do this, but I'll have a hot chocolate.
Yeah.
All right. And I said, you know, when you make the hot chocolate, do you use, what milk do you use? And she showed me the cow's milk. And I said, do you have any other milk that you use? And she said to me, we have coffee and we have latte as well. And I stood there for a minute, right? And I was just like, what other milk do you have? Gave me that response of we have coffee and latte as well. You see, because the frequencies and you can do this, you can pick any sentence in English, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, let me think of one. Look out. That's confusing. What do you mean look out? Because do you mean look out the window, or is do you know what I mean? It's so like confusing.
Yeah.
One word can have so many meanings. Yes, so then people are confused. When you can't really argue in Miss Batia, but you can argue in English because the wires get crossed. So yeah. So basically, the master teacher is teaching us that you have a shield or an aura around you, and when you're vibrating on certain frequencies, then the other ones are not able to penetrate because you're building this shield. It's kind of like
Psychic self.
yeah, psychic self-defense. So
I mean, it makes sense as a defense, but
so to answer your question, you really should be in a community or be around people that you can speak Miss Batia with all the time, or as much as the time as you can, because it's such an important aspect. Because he said that most of our problems will be solved. 90 to 95% of problems will be solved if we just knew the language and could speak it fluently.
Makes
So,
sense.
and we have to think about the generations, the future generations, because they have to. If you imagine when you learn English, how did you learn English?
Yeah. Like,
You didn't have to get a
taught.
book, isn't it? You just heard
Yeah.
your mother and father speaking, and you started to pick it up. So the adults have to learn it so that they then teach it to their children, and then the children grow up speaking it as their first language, and then they
Yeah.
also then pass it on. But most of us, you're right, are not in that environment. This is why when we had our own land, live in our own culture, with the right vibrations, the tones, and the frequencies, you were protected. But obviously, they didn't really like that because you weren't being controlled anymore. Because it's about how you're thinking now, and it's the same thing happening in that Tower of Babel.
Oh, you just speak about.
Is that what you're gonna
I was
say?
just thinking that Tower
Yeah.
Babel incident.
Yeah. So yeah, it's telepathy as well, isn't it? They control you by images that you are subjected to, advertising, marketing, social media. All of these is frequencies that are being sent to you, and then you react on them based on the programming. But yeah, excellent question. That's why we say get into the community, study the language, and speak it with people that are around you.